Elvis lives again. Philippines Filipino boy's voice shocks the world, face screaming in fear, musical notes, golden buzzer moment. The stage lights of America's Got Talent burned bright that night, reflecting off the shiny floor and shimmering across the audience's eager faces. The crowd had seen everything, magicians, dancers, singers, but no one expected what was about to happen next. When the announcer called, "Next up, from the Philippines, please welcome 13-year-old Angelo," the audience clapped politely. A shy, thin boy in a second-hand suit walked onto the stage, clutching an old microphone his late father had once owned. His shoes were worn, his hands trembled, but his eyes held the quiet determination of someone who had walked through storms and learned to dance in the rain. Simon Cowell leaned forward, studying the boy. "Hello there," he said. "What are you singing tonight?" Angelo smiled nervously. "Sir, I'm singing a song by Elvis Presley. It was my papa's favorite." The crowd chuckled softly. Simon raised an eyebrow, half skeptical. "Elvis? That's quite a choice for a young man like you." Angelo nodded, clutching the mic tighter. "Yes, sir. My papa used to sing Elvis songs while fixing our old radio back home. He said Elvis's music was like hope, it never dies." A hush fell over the theater. The orchestra lights dimmed, leaving a single spotlight on the boy. The familiar twang of a guitar filled the air, and Angelo began to sing, "Can't Help Falling in Love." From the first note, the room changed. His voice, deep, soulful, and impossibly mature, floated across the hall, wrapping everyone in warmth and wonder. It wasn't just mimicry, it was reincarnation. Every phrase carried the heart of a boy who had lived through loss, love, and longing. People started leaning forward. Some wiped their eyes. Even Simon's usual stoic expression softened, as if a ghost from music's golden past had returned. Halfway through the song, the screen behind Angelo flickered unexpectedly. Technical glitch, they thought, but it displayed a black and white image of Elvis himself, singing that very song decades ago. The audience gasped, then erupted into applause as Angelo's voice soared. For a fleeting second, it felt like two souls were sharing one melody, Elvis and the boy from Manila. When the last note faded, the crowd rose in thunderous ovation. Tears streamed down faces. Howie Mandel was already standing, clapping like a proud uncle. Sofia Vergara covered her mouth in awe. Heidi Klum had tears in her eyes. But Simon Cowell? He sat still, silent, unreadable. The boy looked frightened for a moment, thinking he had failed. Then Simon stood up, slowly, eyes glistening. "Angelo," he said, his voice trembling, "I've heard thousands of singers on this stage, but I've never heard anything like that." He paused, glancing up at the ceiling as if searching for words. "Your father must be so proud right now." Before the boy could respond, Simon reached out and slammed the golden buzzer. The theater exploded with gold confetti. Angelo froze, tears bursting from his eyes as he looked up in disbelief. He covered his mouth, shaking. He wasn't just hearing the crowd, he was hearing his father's voice in his heart, whispering, "Sing, my son. The world will listen." Backstage, the judges met him, giving hugs and kind words. Simon knelt beside him, gently placing a hand on his shoulder. "You brought Elvis back tonight, but more importantly, you brought hope back. Don't ever lose that." The episode aired worldwide. Within hours, the clip went viral, hundreds of millions of views, millions of comments, and people from all walks of life saying the same thing, Elvis lives again, in a Filipino boy's heart. Angelo's story became a beacon for those who'd ever been told their dreams were too big for their background. But what touched people most wasn't just his voice. It was what he did next. When asked on national TV what he planned to do with the prize money, Angelo smiled shyly and said, "I want to build a small music school in my village, for kids like me who can't afford instruments. My papa always said talent is a gift, but sharing it is what makes it divine." Months later, true to his word, he returned home to the Philippines. In a quiet coastal town, under a tin roof his neighbors helped rebuild, he opened a humble school called Papa's Sound of Hope. Inside, old guitars hung beside black and white photos of Elvis and Angelo's father. Children from nearby villages gathered each day, their laughter echoing through the walls, their voices learning to harmonize with hope. Simon Cowell visited the school a year later, surprising everyone. Cameras followed him, but when he saw Angelo teaching a group of barefoot children to sing, he told them to turn the cameras off. "This moment," he said softly, "isn't for TV. It's for the heart." As he left, Simon handed Angelo an envelope. Inside was a handwritten note. "Dear Angelo, the world needs more people like you, people who remind us that music isn't about fame or fortune, but about love, legacy, and light. Keep singing. Keep giving. Elvis would be proud. Simon." Years passed, and Angelo's voice continued to enchant audiences around the world. But he never forgot the stage that changed his life, or the man who believed in him. And every time he sang, "Can't Help Falling in Love," he would glance upward, smiling through tears, feeling two presences, his father and the king himself, listening from above. Because that night on America's Got Talent, it wasn't just a performance. It was a reminder that greatness can come from the humblest of places, that love never really dies, and that sometimes, a single song can bring a legend, and a dream, back to life. And indeed, for one shining moment, Elvis lived again.